If I make my wife take the blame and get divorced, I'll get a huge alimony. Then I'll marry you. In the meantime, I'll squeeze as much money as I can out of her."
Watching this video from the dashcam, I was frozen. My fiancé was confessing his real reason for wanting to marry me, all while laughing casually. He was talking to the woman in the passenger seat, his mistress. I was trembling in disbelief, but made up my mind. I won't forgive him. I'll show him a thing or two. The showdown will be on Sunday, the day of our wedding reception. My name is Lisa. I'm in my 30s, and I work at a fashion company. I'm doing well now, but I once became a recluse. My parents died in a car accident during high school, and I was too shocked to go to school. I stopped going out entirely and eventually dropped out. Afterward, I moved to Germany with my aunt and uncle. In a completely different environment, they showered me with love, and eventually I became able to live normally again. To ensure I could find a job, I took the high school equivalency exam and passed. I decided to become independent when I came of age and returned to the US to find work. I got a job at an apparel company, my favorite industry. Initially, I worked as a sales staff member, sometimes using my language skills to assist foreign tourists. Now, I manage the area's branches. My best friend Sally, a colleague who joined around the same time as me, has always been there for me. We often went out for drinks together. One day, after work, we went out to eat as usual and unexpectedly ran into someone.
"Hey, isn't that you?"
Huh? I turned around to see Mason, a classmate from high school. Mason, long time no see. How have you been?
"I'm out drinking with some coworkers. What about you?"
I'm with a friend.
"That's nice. I was a bit worried about you back then. Wanna join us for a drink?"
I don't want to impose on your colleagues.
"They're all pretty easygoing. Don't worry about it. I work for a trading company now. Here's my business card."
I work for a fashion company, I said as we exchanged business cards.
"I remember you always liked fashion."
How do you know that?
"Well, I heard some things. Come on, let's talk over a drink."
Okay, let me ask my friend. When I asked Sally, she agreed, saying, "Meeting an old classmate again sounds like something out of a movie. This could be something interesting." I secretly hoped so too, since I'd always had a slight crush on him in high school. He was athletic, the center of attention and everyone's idol. But after my parents' accident and dropping out, we lost contact. Meeting him here was a shock, especially since he remembered me. The guys from Mason's company were great conversationalists, making the night enjoyable. As we parted, he said,
"Let's drink again, just the two of us next time."
This led to us seeing each other more often. He asked about high school.
"What happened after you stopped coming to school?" I was shocked.
My parents died in a car accident, and it was too hard for me to go to school.
That must have been tough. How did you manage?
My parents left enough money for me to live comfortably, and my aunt and uncle took good care of me.
I'm glad to hear that. It's really nice to see you again. Actually, I had a crush on you in high school.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's a bit late to tell you, but yeah. I've never forgotten you since you stopped coming to school. It's a bit embarrassing to admit, but will you date me with marriage in mind?
Are you serious?
I wouldn't joke about this.
It's hard to believe. We barely talked in high school.
You always quietly observed everything. It made you stand out to me. So, what'd he say?
He blushed as he asked me. Yes, I'd love to, I answered.
I'm so relieved,
he said with a laugh. That's how our relationship started. A few months later, we began preparing for our wedding. First, I met his mother. His father had passed away a few years ago, and now he lived with his mother. Nervously, I introduced myself. Hello, I'm Lisa, Mason's girlfriend. His mother gave me a hard look and started asking questions. How did you two meet? We were high school classmates and recently reconnected. Oh, you went to the same high school. I don't remember your name. Did you attend the graduation? No. Actually, I dropped out. What? That's when Mason intervened.
Mom, she had a lot going on at that time and left school.
So she dropped out? So you didn't graduate, Lisa? That's right. But I tried to mention that I had obtained a high school equivalency diploma, but she continued probing. So what do you do for a living? I work at an apparel company. I see. I guess that doesn't require a high school diploma. His mother assumed my job was just customer service. She clearly looked down on me for being a dropout, and I was taken aback. Not noticing my reaction, she continued. Well, my son went to a prestigious university, so I thought he'd marry someone with a similar background. You surprised me. She kept making condescending comments. Will you quit your job after marriage? Your salary probably isn't that high, right? You could stay home and help around the house. What kind of selfish remark is that? I plan to keep working. When I said that, she made a puzzled face. If you don't make much money, it would be more helpful if you did the housework. I love my job. And my salary isn't that bad, I responded. What are you talking about? It can't be much compared to my son's salary at a trading company. You can work until you have kids, but you'll need to do the housework. She spoke as if it were a given that we would live together after the wedding. Based on this interaction, it seemed clear that his mother and I were not going to get along. She'd treat me like a maid if we lived together. After a rough introduction, we left, but his mother continued to interfere with our wedding plans. Since your parents aren't around, you must not know much about weddings. You didn't finish high school. She mocked me for being a dropout and pushed for a grand ceremony, unlike the small, intimate wedding I wanted. What are you talking about? We come from an old, established family with many relatives. Mason is the eldest son and a graduate of a top university. It's only natural to have a grand wedding. See, that's the problem with a dropout who has no parents, she said, already full of spite. He didn't even try to defend me. So the wedding preparations began not as planned. After several meetings, it was 1 month until the wedding. I was already exhausted from dealing with his mother. Seeing my state, my friend Sally suggested, Let's go shopping. Most of the preparations were done, and I needed a breather. The next weekend, we decided to go to a newly opened outlet mall. I would drive. I enjoy driving and use it to refresh myself on weekends. My beloved car is a cute Fiat. It's an Italian car with an option to automatically record everything inside the car during drives. After a drive, I enjoy watching the recordings with friends. But lately, I hadn't been able to go for drives because I was busy with wedding preparations. It had been a while since Sally and I went shopping, and we were excited to visit a new shopping mall. I was so excited that I arrived early at our meeting place. With some time to kill, I played around with the navigation system and pressed the history button, where an unfamiliar name, Moonlight Hotel, appeared. What is this? I wondered. I had lent the car to Mason recently for a drive with friends. The history was from the day I was trying on wedding dresses. Mason didn't come because he wanted to be surprised on the wedding day. Did he stop by this hotel with his friends? Sally arrived just then, saying, "I'm here." So I decided to check later. Despite having fun shopping, the hotel history nagged at me. Back home, I checked the history again and looked up the hotel on my phone. It was a hotel for couples in the red light district. I nervously checked the dashcam footage and saw Mason with a woman I didn't know. She had long hair, perfect makeup, and looked a bit younger than me.
"Where should we go today?"
he asked. "I want some good food," she replied in a sweet voice.
"Let's go to that Italian place and then the hotel nearby."
"Okay," she said sweetly. It was clearly an affair. I was shocked as the video played on. "Are you really getting married? You said you'd be with me," the woman pouted.
"I planned to, but I ran into her.
"What do you mean?"
She's got a lot of money."
"What the?" A shocking truth slipped out from him.
"She inherited a fortune from her parents. I knew she was well off, but didn't know the amount. It's enough to never worry about money. We're taking millions of dollars. Isn't that amazing?"
"So you're marrying her for money? What about me?"
"Don't worry. I'll divorce her eventually and get a big alimony. Then we'll be together. Meanwhile, I'll take as much as I can from her."
"You're bad, but I can wait," she said, smiling. They both laughed. My whole body went cold. I was shocked that he had another woman, but more than that, the person I admired was planning to marry me just for my money. I was devastated by my naivety. Usually, I'd work through any illness, but this time I was too shocked to do anything. Sally visited me and I told her everything. "What a jerk! Dump him immediately. It's good you found out before marrying him," she said, furious. "Yeah, I'm glad I found out, but I'm so angry. Not just about the affair, but that he's after my money. And his mother looks down on me for not finishing high school. Yeah, we need to get back at them. But the wedding is only a month away." "Yeah, I know." At that moment, an idea flashed through my mind. I looked into Sally's eyes and whispered to her, "Will you help me?" We started planning to give them a taste of their own medicine. The showdown was set for the wedding's reception on Sunday. Sally, who was watching the situation, reported that Mason and his mother were pacing around the dressing room because the bride, me, hadn't shown up. "What's going on? Did she run away?"
"That can't be."
"This is why I didn't want you to marry a dropout with no common sense. We're going to be humiliated in front of our relatives." His mother fumed.
"I invited my boss and colleagues, too. This is a disaster. Mom, what should we do?" They were more worried about appearances than me. However, the bride never appeared.
"We have no choice. Let's explain the situation to the guests and put all the blame on the bride."
Mason's mother headed to the reception hall where the guests were waiting.
"The bride is a high school dropout with no common sense. We apologize for the delay,"
Mason's mother announced to the guests, causing a stir.
"What?"
she said, seeing the reaction. At that moment, I stepped out from the back of the room. "I'm here."
"Why are you here?"
"What are you talking about? You arrived 3 hours late, so I started without you," I said.
"The invitation said the ceremony was at 3 p.m.,
she argued, waving the invitation. "What's going on?"
Mason, who came in later, also looked confused. The correct time is 12 p.m. It's clearly stated on the invitations and the hotel's information. I smirked as I held up the real invitation. I had given them fake invitations with the wrong time. Since I handled all the preparations, it was easy to deceive them. The guests applauded my explanation. Noticing the groom's arrival, a guest approached him.
"The bride has been waiting for you,"
one of Mason's colleagues said with a smile.
"Thank you for coming,"
Mason replied, smiling awkwardly.
"You partied too hard last night and overslept, didn't you? Normally, the bride would be furious, but she made it into a funny story. She joked that you might be late because you were with your mistress, and everyone laughed."
His boss teased, causing another wave of laughter. Meanwhile, Mason's relatives were frowning.
"Being late for your big day is unacceptable,"
one muttered. But the real show was yet to come. With the bride and groom both present, the reception began. Everything went smoothly until a screen was set up.
"Here's a video of how the couple met, prepared by the bride,"
the MC announced.
"What?"
Mason looked confused. The lights dimmed, and the title Reasons for Marriage appeared on the screen. It was the dashcam footage of Mason boasting about marrying me for money.
"What is this?"
He turned pale. "I wanted everyone to know the real reason you proposed," I said. Mason's mother, frantic, asked, "What is this? And who is that woman?" Mason was silent, while the guests buzzed. In the corner of the room, the mistress sat, embarrassed and trying to hide. She was a junior at Mason's workplace, now facing the guests' curious stares. Mason, cornered by his mother, turned pale and looked to me for help.
"This is a misunderstanding."
"What do you mean?"
"I only said those things to shut her up. It wasn't true."
"Then why did you go to the hotel repeatedly? It's in the navigation history."
"What?"
Mason was at a loss. I had all the evidence of his infidelity and fraud. Later, I would sue him for damages. Mason's mother glared at me as she yelled, "You're shameless for embarrassing us like this." I apologized for my lack of manners as a dropout. But your son is the real problem here. Maybe it's how you raised him. I shot back. I took the microphone and addressed the guests. "Hello, everyone. I apologize for the inconvenience. As you can see, the groom has been unfaithful, so this wedding is off. I wasn't the one he truly cared for. I hope you all will guide me toward a happier future." The guests were in chaos, but Mason and his mother would handle the aftermath. In the dressing room, Sally came in. "It's over," she said. "Thanks for helping me." "Let's go eat something good," she suggested. "I agree," I said, leaving the venue with her. Later, I sued Mason for damages, including the wedding costs. His plan to get money from me backfired. I heard his family was shunned by their relatives, and his mother's pride was deeply wounded. Serves them right. With so many colleagues at the reception, Mason felt pressured to resign. Of course. Who would trust a conniving person who proposed marriage just for money? He turned to gambling and increased his debts. His prestigious degree is laughable now. The mistress also quit her job, unable to face her colleagues. They both got what they deserved. I sued her for damages too. She's now working as a hostess, trying to pay off her debts. I went on a healing trip with Sally, trying new activities and enjoying good food. A pair of guys approached us, looking cheerful. Talking with them, we found out that their company was surprisingly close to ours, and we made plans to go out for drinks together. It felt like something new was on the horizon. I pushed the memories of Mason and his mother out of my mind and visited my parents' grave to offer flowers.